After watching this video, you're gonna love writing drums in Reaper. I'm gonna go over things like naming and rearranging your notes, as well as some different ways you can display them, creating a custom drum view, some quick ways to change the velocity and the grid, and a bunch of time-saving features that will make your life easier. Let's go! Hi Reaper friends, I'm Alejandro Hernandez, and today it feels like a good day for writing drums. A lot of people complain about the MIDI editor in Reaper, including myself sometimes. However, the truth is that it can easily adapt to many types of workflows. So my job today is to show you all the options available so you can pick and choose and build the perfect workflow for you. Let's start with the tips. First, I like to work using name notes instead of this piano roll. I find it super useful to see the name of the notes right here. To use this view, you can press Alt 2 and you can alternate between the views with Alt 1 or 2 and 3. To name the notes, you will double right click like this and then you can type whatever names you have. So for example, I have Tom 2, Tom 3, like this. So now whenever I write my drum parts, it's just super useful to see the name of the notes as you scroll up and down like this. Now, doing all of this manually can be very time consuming. Luckily, there's a good chance that someone on the internet already did it for you. If you go to the Reaper stash, there's a MIDI drum map section where you can find a lot of drum maps for different drum kits. Just go to the category and do a search for the drum kit you're using. Then you can load this file into Reaper. These are usually well labeled, but feel free to do your own tweaks. For example, if I had something called like kick left or something like that, that would be a pretty long name and it just overlaps the other note and just looks ugly when zoomed out. But if you had something like just K, that just looks nice. I like that a lot. Once you're happy with your drum map, all you need to do is just go to File, Note, and save notes names to file. As you can see, I have a bunch of these for all the different libraries I use. Also, you only need to load it once. All of the other MIDI notes in this track will have the drum map, so it's just a one-time thing. One of my favorite things in Reaper is that you can rearrange the position of the notes without having to do any remapping. Why is this the best thing ever? Let me show you. Alright, so the standard mapping for all MIDI drums is called General MIDI Mapping, or JM mapping. Most people use this.
This is rock and roll.
Most drum MIDI libraries use it. It's perfect for collaborating and it just has all the benefits of being the standard. For example, it might make more sense for you to have the kick at the top like that, or maybe you want the snare at the bottom like this. Or maybe you would like to have all of your hats together. So the beauty of this is that you're still using JM mapping. You're not doing any actual remapping, if that makes sense. So to rearrange the notes, you will press Command or Control on Windows and drag up and down like this. And another cool part is that all of this will get saved into your drum map. So next time you load it, you will also get your notes rearranged. When this feature was introduced, I was so relieved because I started using more and more libraries and all of them had different mappings and made it just so difficult to switch in between libraries. So now I just set them all to JM mapping, reorder if I need to, and now all of my MIDI drums will work with any of my libraries. There's three ways you can display notes in Reaper. One is rectangle, the other triangle, and the last one is diamond. You can find this in your default toolbar, or just go to View and choose Piano Roll Notes and one of these. Now this is a matter of preference, but my favorite is diamond. I spend most of my life using rectangles, and sometimes I find myself going back to it. Mostly because I think it looks the cleanest of all. The problem with rectangles though is that now you have to worry about length. Sometimes you want to put a bunch of notes in a row and then maybe one of them overlaps the other and then you have to trim to make space and put the notes in there. With diamonds or triangles, you don't run into any of these issues. You just click the note and you know that's a hit. In the same view menu, there's some other things that you can change. For example, you can show the note names on notes like this. That's what I'm using to see the actual drum parts whenever I'm writing. Also, you probably have this by default, which is show velocity handles on notes. I find this kind of annoying. It gets in the way a lot of times, and when you're trying to select a note, you probably select this by accident. I'll show you some quick ways to adjust velocity later in this video. Another one I like to use a lot is alternating between the color notes by velocity and by pitch. It's also in this menu right here at the bottom. If you color by velocity, the stronger hits will be different color, as well as the medium hits and soft hits. And if you color by pitch, every drum part will be a different color. I find this super useful when I'm writing because I can be like, red is the kick, yellow is the snare, and all of these are just crashes. So normally you will have this layout where it's just a piano roll and your notes will be rectangles, and which is really good for writing music. So the beauty of Reaper is that you can combine all of the settings that I showed you before into a single action. So when I press here, it's gonna show me everything in diamonds. It's gonna switch to name notes view, and also it's going to only show me my drum parts, nothing else. So whatever is not named is gonna get hidden. And if I'm not writing drums and I just want my normal mode, I just click to the piano mode in here, and I can switch it in between these two super quick. I'll talk about it in more details in the article below, but just to give you an overview, I have these two custom actions, and one of them for drums view and the other one for piano view. The drums view has these three actions, which is show events as diamonds, then it's gonna switch to the name note view, and it's also gonna hide unused and unnamed notes rows. And for the piano view is these three actions. It's gonna show events as rectangles, and it's gonna go to piano roll, and it's gonna show me all the note rows. So it pretty much goes back to normal. Once you have that, I like to put this in my toolbar so I can easily switch back and forth like this. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you want to support, you can buy me a coffee at reapertips.com. Also feel free to explore the page. I put a lot of time and heart to everything you see in there. Enjoy the rest of the video. So by default, when you have to insert a note in Reaper, you have to kind of click and drag a bit to insert the note. I much prefer to insert it in one click like this. I don't know, it makes it way simpler to just click and just get the note that you want without having to click and drag and so on. To change this, it's pretty easy. Just go to preferences and then go to mouse modifiers, MIDI piano roll where it says contacts, and then go for left click, and where it says the default action, just double click in there and select insert note, just insert. That's it. Now whenever you click in here, it's gonna insert a note right away. Now you may wonder, how do I unselect notes now? You can just press shift and click on anywhere else. It's gonna unselect every time you do that. So if you have this, shift, click, unselect that. There's an action that allows you to adjust the velocity using your mouse wheel. Here's how that looks. Alright, let's say I add a snare, and if I want to change the velocity, I just hold shift and use my mouse wheel to change the velocity. You see how it's changing? To set this up, we go to the actions menu and search for edit value events mouse wheel like this. You can set this to a shortcut like shift and move your mouse wheel like this. One thing I noticed about this action though, if you try it out, you will notice that you kind of have to do a lot of scrolling to get the values that you want. That's something that bothers me. Like, it's nice for fine-tuning, but I prefer to be way more sensitive than that. So I actually made a custom action that is literally the same action stacked 4 times. That's gonna give me 4 times the power, or set 4 times more sensitive to move the velocity. So yeah, you can set it up like this or however you want it, and then try it out, and you will see, like, yeah, that's much better. And another trick is that you can select this note to copy the velocity. So let's say I add another snare in here, and that's not the velocity I want. I actually want this velocity. You want to click this before adding the note. Just click it, and that's gonna copy over the velocity. This is pretty handy if you have multiple notes and you just want to copy over whatever velocity you were using before. So let's say I want to add some more kicks in the same velocity. These are gonna be high velocity, but if I select one of them and I put them in here, they will be all the same velocity as this one. Another thing I like to do is to adjust the grid size using my mouse wheel. If I want more divisions, I just need to scroll up, and if I want fewer divisions, I just need to scroll down. And for this, I'm using a repack script. And again, all of the details will be in the description. The script name is Adjust MIDI Editor Grid, and I have it set to Option Shift Mouse Wheel. So whenever I use this, it will go up and down with my mouse wheel like this. It's also very helpful to have this in your toolbar, so whenever I'm scrolling up and down to change the grid, I can also see it reflected in the toolbar icons. If you want this, you can customize your toolbar and add these actions called grid, set to, and whatever number you want. In here I have it set to 1, half, quarters, and so on. Oh, and this SWS action called toggle triple grid, super useful. So whenever I want to write stuff in triplets, I just enable this action and my grid changes to triplets. And the best part is that I can still adjust with my mouse wheel and still be in the triplet grid. I actually have this map to my shortcut E. You can also toggle swing grid, which will actually show you this grid that you can drag around like this to adjust how much green left or right you want. And you also get the dotted grid. Here's a short tip, but it's one of my favorite things. If you hold Alt and Control, you can click and drag and paint a line of notes like this. This is perfect if you want to do some double kicks like this. Or maybe you want to do a snare build-up, and the cool thing is that it will follow your grid, so I can divide it even more to get even faster hits. So even more like this. And pretty fast. So yeah, I would usually do my kick and snare like this, and then for the hi-hat or whatever cymbal, I just drag across like this. Alright, so a lot of times when you have notes in a row like this, you may want to add some variations, like you want to make this louder, this one softer, this one louder, softer, and so on in a pattern. Like this can change the groove of your sound so much. For example, you have this, which is a straight velocity, but if you do every now and then some softer hits, you can do this. Cool, right? Now there's a faster way to do this, and it's selecting notes in patterns. So for example, I have this map, so it's gonna select every first note, or this other one that is gonna select every other note. This is super useful because now I can be like, I can wanna select every other note and just reduce those velocities a lot. So I get this. And for this, I'm using these two scripts called select only even notes and select only odd notes. This is also useful if you wanna select every other note and make those a different articulation like this. Now there's this other script that you can get even more precise results, and it's called select and deselect MIDI notes by step pattern. When you run this, you get this dialog that is gonna allow you to select whatever note you want in a pattern that you want. So let's say I want to add an accent only on the third hit. I will deselect the second, the first, and the fourth, and now that I have only the third selected, I can raise the velocity on that one, and this will be the result. And now maybe we want to make the first hit to be an open hi-hat. We will select only the first one and just raise that to be the open hi-hat, so it would sound more like this. And you can even do more complex patterns. You can just raise the pattern length like this, and maybe let's do 8 for example. So I want to deselect the second, the third, the fifth, the sixth, and the 8th. So I only get this, and this I want them to be open hi-hats. Let's select them all again. Now I just want to select the third and the fifth like this, and I want these to be an accent, so I'm gonna raise the velocity on those and make it, just for whatever reason, to be a close hi-hat. I don't know how this is gonna sound like, but let's see. Not good. Alright, maybe these can be like this. Alright, cool. Now, even if you adjusted the velocities like I showed you, it might still feel robotic. So one trick is just to press H, and it's gonna bring up this Humanize window. In here you can play with some slight timing variations and also some velocity variations that's just gonna make this sound way more human. This feature is honestly such a time saver. I usually like to select a lot of the notes of the same kind, for example, just the kicks in this section. So I just go H, and you can try also new random seeds every time to get some different results. So for my final trick, I'm just gonna make a drum track. Just gonna start from a blank project and walk you through every step of the process, and maybe some new tips come around, I don't know. Okay, blank project. In here I go right click, insert template. If you don't have track templates, I highly suggest setting some, it saves so much time. For this demo, I'm gonna use GGD Modern Fusion, so I don't have to worry about mixing, just writing. Now I create a MIDI track and double click to open the MIDI editor. I'll see my MIDI editor like this, but like I showed you, I like to have this custom drum view. I'm just gonna make everything look like this. And now I'm ready to add some drums. I'm just gonna go for something simple. So just a kick, a snare here, kick a snare, a kick in here as well. So now I want some space out cymbals. So I set up my grid to whatever I want and just paint the notes like this. And maybe this can be higher velocity as well, like this one. Alright, I like that. So I'm just gonna duplicate this like this. And maybe these ones can be, let's switch it up to make it hi-hat like this. For these hi-hats I want to double the time, so I'm just gonna increase the grid and holding Command or Control on Windows, I'm gonna click and drag so it duplicates next to it. So I have this. And in here I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna do even, yeah, let's do even more. So more like this, now with that, like this. Yeah. Now let's maybe add some ghost notes. So just a very low hit like this. And let's actually switch to velocity. I have it right here in my toolbar, so it's easy to see. So yeah, low velocity should be kind of bluish tone, and high velocity, yeah, cool. Okay, I want to remove this kick, and I want to add another snare ghost. So I will click this to copy the velocity, just click that, and add another one like this. That's pretty cool. Let's add another ghost note in here. Honestly, ghost notes is what takes your drum programming to the next level. So when in doubt, just add a bunch of ghost notes. These hi-hats can add a little more variations. So maybe let's actually do all of these, but we're gonna increase. Oh, I like to do where if you wanna have them all the same velocity, which is good if you wanna do the next steps I'm gonna do. So for example, if I had something like this where it's all different velocities and I wanna make them all the same velocity, I just go shift mouse wheel to decrease velocity, and now they are the same velocity. Now let's do every other note to be very low like this. Yeah, that adds a little more movement to it. I like that. But let's actually use the script to select notes in a pattern and select only the third bit like that and make them to be open hi-hat. Actually even more like. Okay, select all of this, run the script for note selecting. First and the third to be open hi-hats. So let's move this in here as well. And what does that sound? Okay, cool. This can be lower. And to finish this, let's add a transition between this bar and this bar, and with a crazy fill. So I'm just gonna go here random, maybe a kick, snare, snare, tom, 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 maybe actually tom tom, and then some splash, kick. Actually, let's make this even faster. Tom tom tom. By the way, if you press shift and you move the note, it's not gonna snap to the grid, which is useful if you want to do some quick changes like this, like off the grid. Alright, so let's actually add some triplets. So I think maybe the last bit in here can be some triplets. How does that sound? It's whatever, that works. Not the best thing in the world, but but you get the idea. It's pretty simple to do it. I have a lot of fun. I could spend all day doing this, just clicking stuff and getting different groups. It's just always fun. And that's it. There's still a lot more things I would like to talk about. So if you want a part 2, just let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, you can give it a like, that helps a lot. And as always, all of the steps and more cool resources are in the description below. So make sure to check that out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Yeah, TPT.